Welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, May 14th, 2019. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll now move on to agenda item 1C, approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on April 30th, 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on April 30th, 2019. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Agenda item 1D, approval of minutes for the budget workshop on April 30th, 2019. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. McQuillan to approve the minutes of the budget workshop from April 30th, 2019. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll now entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
Made the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McQuillan to enter into executive session. The stated purpose of executive session is receipt of legal advice pertaining to a contractual matter and potential litigation regarding same, discussion of pending employment matters to include the appointment of an administrator, 14 student attendance appeals, 5 student expulsion appeals. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are in executive session. We'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey to return to regular session. I'd like to state for the record, no action was taken in executive session. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are in regular session. Now we'll move on to agenda item 3A. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item 4A, citizen comments. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. Our first registered speaker is Angela Simmons. The nature of her concern is budgetary concerns. Ms. Simmons.
Good evening.
Dr. Ingram and members of the board, most of you know me, but for the new members who were elected since I last addressed this august body, let me say quickly by way of introduction that my name is Angela Simmons. I am a Moncks Corner native, a retired educator having served 36 years as a teacher in the Berkeley County school system in the Menrive Marrington schools. I am also president of the Berkeley County Progressive League, a civic organization. I have two issues to bring to your attention tonight, and both are in reference to budgetary items. I stayed for the budget presentation at the last meeting and listened as Ms. Ashley Smith stated that the district was hiring 31 bookkeepers along with mental health workers, social workers, maintenance workers, and one painter. I believe you were looking at over 50 positions with the new allocations for the school year. My question this evening is about funding these positions. At the last meeting, the fund balance was mentioned, and possibly receiving money from the Office of Federal Programs was mentioned in reference to the mental health counselors. Knowing that money can only be spent once, transparency, and we have talked much about the word transparency lately, transparency dictates that the public know from where these funds are being derived. Is this new money coming in? Are these positions being funded through attrition, or are existing programs being dismantled and torn apart to secure these funds? Programs such as, is money being pulled from fine arts or possibly gifted and talented programs, CAPE programs? Are these types of programs that have proven themselves to be highly effective going to suffer because of adding these 50 or more positions? Are other programs in which our children or grandchildren may be involved going to be negatively impacted by these new additions? Transparency says there should be some means of showing the public how these positions are being funded. My second question is in reference to the $100,000 given to the Miracle League to help build a field at the Moncks Corner Rec Field. I have nothing against the Miracle League, but would like to know how was this decision made and when was there public discussion? My son, who has autism, and along with many other young people from the Moncks Corner area, have played Challenger baseball for years. Challenger is a division of Little League for children and young adults with physical and intellectual disabilities. We parents of these children have traveled to Felco Field and Vaughn Fields in Goose Creek, Boundary Field in Gahagan and Somerville, and even down to the Air Force Base in North Charleston to find a field on which our children could play, because there was not one here in Moncks Corner. Now, all of a sudden, money is being given to the Miracle League. I learned of Challenger, which began about a decade before the Miracle League, from our very own special ed department here in Berkeley County. So the league is not foreign to us. If you are now saying to yourself, I've never heard of Challenger baseball, then you have made my point. There are many things about which you do not know, and unless there is an opportunity for discussion, you will operate in ignorance. So again, my question in the name of transparency is how and when the decision was made to fund the Miracle League field. Thank you.
The next speaker that's registered is Jason Jefferson on electronic payment of after-school programs. Mr. Jefferson had to go, and he'll come back to speak with us later. Next up is LaTori Walker, concerns regarding communication.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for accepting my request. My name is LaTori Walker. I am the parent of Lance Lloyd, who is in 6th grade at Berkeley Middle School. And as an advocate for my son, I'm here to seek clarification on communication as well as the district's policy on grievances. Beginning Monday, April the 29th, I have requested meetings, face-to-face meetings with 3 district employees, first Principal Wilkerson, then Dr. Gelman on April 29th, and then lastly with Dr. Ingram on May 6th. And I have not to date, as of to date, received a one-to-one, face-to-face meeting. And I'm very concerned because I feel like my voice as a parent advocate has been stifled, as well as being dismissed from the chain of command. I truly understand that we have bigger issues here in the district, but please know that my son is a big issue to me. So I have 3 questions. My first question is, I would like to know, what is the district's policy for communication with parents from our administrators as well as teachers? Also, what is the district's policy for filing grievances? And also, lastly, I understand and respect that we're supposed to support our administrators and teachers, but I also would like to know, where is the parent advocacy? You know, who can I speak to? Who can I talk to? Who can I run to when I need some sort of advocate support from my son? Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Last up is Dr. Deneen Fleming on graduation concern. Dr. Fleming.
Good afternoon. I am Deneen Fleming, a parent and aunt guardian of 2 graduating seniors at Cane Bay High School. There are a few things that I wish to address in the time that I've allocated this evening. First and foremost, I know that your jobs are not easy, but they are your jobs nonetheless. I stand here disappointed at best and upset that Berkeley County waited until yesterday to send out official communication with the changes to parking for graduation. Yes, the rumors were floating, and the letter was even leaked on some Facebook pages, but that was not official. Thank you to those who responded when I called Dr. Gelman and to Mr. Jackson for calming many parents and students. While I recognize this does not affect everyone personally, for those of us who it does and for those who claim to care about all children in this district, this is an epic fail. After graduation invitations have been purchased and distributed, after travel arrangements by families have been made and flights secured, after discovering some schools such as Somerville High School parents were informed in August when they registered their children for school that this would be the case, we are officially informed on May 13th, 19 days before graduation. And for those who will say we are sorry for the inconvenience, it is more than a mere inconvenience. These are our children, and this is their day. Arrive an hour early. Take a shuttle from the Charlestown Square movie theater if you don't have a ticket, because even with carpooling, the graduate needs 1 ticket, and then that leaves families with 2 remaining tickets. We go from limitless to 3 tickets. So that you can lead by example, I ask that you stand in solidarity with us, and you also park at Charlestown Square movie theater and take the shuttle an hour before graduation. That would begin about 5 o'clock for a 6 p.m. ceremony. Then wait on your shuttle to get back to your car on the most important days of our life. You give up your spaces. Intent versus impact. Next, while some districts were choosing to support their teachers and others even cancel classes with their superintendent and board members marching in solidarity with educators, Berkeley County chose to post a divisive statement that caused more harm than good. Intent versus impact. I am not sure who approved such an atrocity, but that should never have happened, and no amount of retractions can change the devastating impact that 1 page had on the morale of so many. Consider some diversity and inclusion training. It goes to show how far removed some really are from the people that you are entrusted to serve. And finally, I don't know about anyone else, but I am tired of being on the news amidst financial scandal and non-transparency, although that is what was promised. We can say it is a computer system, but state law is state law. We are not exempt. You can go in a closed-door session, but you do realize we are the stakeholders here, right? Some of the money that they speak of, we do contribute. As I tell the children, have integrity, do what you say you will do. You can't represent us if you don't know us, and you can't get to know us if the only time we meet is when we have 3 minutes to give information, concerns with no dialogue or discourse. Nothing. There has to be a better way, and I hope together we can do something different, because this is not it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item 5A, action as required from executive session.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the district's legal counsel to pursue any and all claims against current and/or former software vendors and/or contracted professionals and/or advisors or consultants of the Berkeley County School District, and to update the board as appropriate going forward regarding the same. Legal counsel is further authorized to engage and/or associate counsel and experts as appropriate in order to pursue these claims on behalf of the district.
Second. There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Wofford. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next motion from executive session.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motion to authorize the superintendent to contract with a third party that provides qualified professional staff for services to include, but not limited to, identifying and assisting in the resolution of any issues related to the software system implementation.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Kelly, a second by Mr. McQuillan. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Mia Shawhorn as Coordinator for Special Education-Related Services for Berkeley County Schools with a contract to take effect on July 15, 2019.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Kelly, a second by Mr. McQuillan. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Welcome, Ms. Shawhorn.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Dr. Kelly Wolf as the new Chief Academic and Innovations Officer for Berkeley County Schools with a contract to take effect on May 15th, 2019.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll now move on to student attendance appeals. I'll now hear a motion for student number 1.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 1, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, 4-3. Student number 2.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 2, I move that we grant the appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey to grant the appeal of student number 2. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. Student number 3.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 3, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow. Is there any additional discussion? This motion is to deny the appeal of student number 3. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Students 4, 5, and 6 will be heard together. This motion will be for students 4, 5, and 6.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeals of students 4, 5, and 6.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the appeals of students 4, 5, and 6. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
6-1, the ayes have it. Student number 7.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the appeal of student number 7.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan to grant the appeal of student number 7 and a second by Mr. Barrow. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 8.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal of student number 8.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow, to deny the appeal of student number 8. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 9.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the appeal of student number 9.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow to grant the appeal of student number 9. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 10.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal of student number 10.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the appeal of student number 10. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
6-1. The ayes have it. Student number 11.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal of student number 11.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the appeal of student number 11. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. Student number 12.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal of student number 12.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the appeal of student number 12. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Students 13 and 14 will be heard together.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeals of students number 13 and 14.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the appeals of students 13 and 14. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll now move on to expulsion appeals. Student number 1.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the appeal and allow student number 1 to attend the virtual school.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan. There's a second by Wofford to grant the appeal of student number 1 and assign student to virtual school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
6-1, the ayes have it. Student number 2.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the attendance appeal and allow, or the expulsion appeal and allow the child to attend the alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Wright to grant the expulsion appeal and assign the child to alternative school, to Berkeley Alternative School. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 3.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the expulsion appeal.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Wofford to deny the expulsion appeal of student number 3. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. 7-0, the ayes have it. Student number 4.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 4, I move that we grant the expulsion appeal and assign the child to the virtual school.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder to grant the appeal of student number 4 and assign student to the virtual school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
6-1, the ayes have it. Student number 5.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the expulsion appeal and assign the child to attend Berkeley Alternative School.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, the second by Mr. Wright, to grant the expulsion appeal and assign the child to Berkeley Alternative School. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That is all of the motions that I have from executive session. Does anybody have anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 6, the superintendent's report.
Yes, Madam Chair, staff, members of the audience. The first order of business under my section is every year we have to approve, or we ask you to approve board meeting dates, and I believe we have them appearing on the screen here for the coming fiscal year, starting in July. There we go. If we can get that up there just a little bit so other folks can see. Of course, in July 9th, we always, that first meeting in July, we reserve for a board workshop if we need to. And then we've got July 23rd. It's generally, we are the second and the fourth Tuesday of each month. And notice that we do have a school picked out. We go to schools a couple of times a year, so October 22nd, Macedonia Middle. November, December, because of the holiday schedule, we generally have just one meeting. So January 14th, 28th, 11th, and 25th in February, March 10th at Westview Elementary, then the 24th is a regular meeting here, and then April, May, and June, the normal days that we have. So those are the meeting dates that we have set aside. What's not up there, and I would just go ahead and say that on June 9th, I've been in quick texting conversation with Chairwoman Wofford. I recommend that we take part of that meeting to have McCrell come in and do a little bit of training on the superintendent's evaluation model that you piloted with me last year. Been working with McCrell since last year to get them out here to do some training. I think that would be very beneficial for you as we endeavor to
Before the board workshop next year.
Yes.
To be prepared.
Before the workshop next year, because we want to do that in a timely way and give you time to.
Next year, July.
Yes, July. So anyway, we would need a motion, ma'am. I've got one written here.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the 2019-2020 board meeting dates for first reading approval as presented by Superintendent Ingram.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Wofford. Is there any additional discussion about the board meeting schedule?
There's a question I have, Madam Chair. It says all meetings will be held in the boardroom of the Berkeley County Board of Education except as noted. When are we going to move to the new building?
Good question.
That seems to be something we all are looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm hopeful June.
We are. We want to make sure that it's all done right, and it'll be revealed in capital planning. There's the OSF inspection was postponed, but we want to have it nice and tight for the public, so we wanted to make sure that we had all the furniture in, things like that. There are some final inspections to be done and some bits and pieces to wrap up, but we're thinking June. It's a good question, though. Oh. So we had the motion and the vote.
Yeah, I just need to call the question. So this is a first reading. There'll be two readings. Motion by McQuillan, second by Wofford. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, board members, and audience members. Last Saturday, I attended our STEMinist Festival at Cane Bay High. All of the participants are girls, and they had a great time. For the balance of the day, they experienced robotics and built their own rockets, and were quite impressive in doing so. Yesterday, Monday, I visited Marrington Elementary, and last night, I had the privileges with several of our cabinet members of attending the Duke Tip Scholars and the Junior Scholars program at Cane Bay High. And I may want to throw this kudos into the Cane Bay High business classes. They participated in the stock market game and placed second in the state. Over an 8-week period, the team amassed a profit of over $17,000 in simulated stock trades. Maybe we need to get them to be our stock advisors. Today, I visited with Nick Snyder of the Teacher Forum as we're planning for improvements for our meetings and staff development this coming year. Our goal is to make the honor of Teacher of the Year less taxing by having more meetings during the day, and to have Central Services assume responsibility for professional development and the Teacher in Service Day. I did visit 2 schools today, Westview Primary and Berkeley Middle College, and representatives from Munis will be on site tomorrow and Thursday to help us solve software conversions issues. And I want to thank to the hard work of several school and central service employees. Transparency reports were created manually with the use of multiple systems and bank ledgers. Those reports are now posted on our website. Again, to clear up some information shared about this, I want to make it clear to the general public that Berkeley County School District has a healthy fund balance and a balanced general fund. We want you all to know that our administration, school board, and others are diligently working behind the scenes to resolve this software issue. Madam Chairwoman, that concludes my report for the evening.
Thank you. Agenda item 7A, temporary committee assignments. We have quorum on all committees tonight, so now we'll entertain action item 8 is a motion to recess for committee meetings. Is there a motion?
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey to recess for committee meetings. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Full board's in recess. We'll now move on to the Academics and Innovation Committee meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm calling the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for March 2019, the Head Start Credit Card Report for March 2019, and the 2019-2020 Head Start Instructional Calendars. Do I hear a motion?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Make a motion to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditures Report for March 2019, the Head Start Credit Card Report for March 2019, and the 2019-2020 Head Start Instructional Calendars.
Thank you, and I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? 0. The motion is approved by a vote of 2-0. Okay. The second agenda item is the proposed competency-based education pilot at Westview Elementary and Westview Primary Schools. Dr. Kelly Wolf, you are recognized.
Chairwoman Condor, Dr. Ingram, and members of the board. During the viewing of The Most Likely to Succeed, we heard an astounding message from the students present that a grade does not mean deep learning. One student even stated that he studies to ace the test, but if he had to take the test a month later, he couldn't tell you what he just learned. Another student said tests were just merely to rank and file, and that, quite frankly, they stressed them out. Our traditional grading scale gives a student a score quarterly based on the content area. In Berkeley County, our primary grades rank students from 1 to 4, and in grades 3 through 12, we give a grade from F to A. A number of states and many districts have moved away from traditional grading practices to competency-based education to provide students and parents a more descriptive approach to understanding what skills and standards a student has mastered and which one the student needs to work on next in the learning progression. Competency-based education is sometimes referred to as mastery-based learning or proficiency-based learning. In the state of South Carolina, under the personalized learning, they utilize the term competency-based education. George Curis from the Innovators Mindset stated, when forward-thinking districts and schools encourage today's learners to become creators and leaders, I believe they, in turn, will create a better world. Westview Elementary and Westview Primary have done just that. I would like to recognize Sean Wimmer and Adra Shaw to present a forward-thinking initiative that empowers students in the learning process and reports the learning of those skills in a more meaningful way.
Thank you for allowing us to present this proposal to you. We're really excited about the opportunity this offers our school communities. We brought a team with us of various stakeholders so that if you have questions, you can ask the perspective of students or parents or teachers. So Ms. Shaw and I have with us Ms. Kelly Stello, my instructional coach, who's been instrumental in helping us grow this initiative in my school personally. We have Julia Rowland, a 5th grade teacher who is an early adopter. 2 of her students are with us, Grayson Green and Ernie Taylor. And we also have Bridget Sullivan, Grayson's mother, who really is in a unique position because she has experienced this for Grayson this year, but she also has a 2nd grader who's rolling up to us next year. And so in our feedback process, we've had parents give us feedback on this reporting. So you've got lots of stakeholders here who are ready to share if you need them to. So we wanted to share how we got here. We began at the beginning of this year a partnership through the Personalized Learning Office with the State Department with representation from all of our grade levels and became really excited about the opportunities that this type and style of instruction offers to our children. We changed the learning environment in our school. Learning occurs in every single corner and crevice in our building, not just in classrooms. We have completely shifted instruction so that we meet the needs of students where they are, recognizing that students don't all have the same learning styles, they don't learn at the same pace, and they need voice and ownership in how they acquire knowledge and demonstrate mastery. So, as we began that journey, the traditional report card became a little problematic. And you can see over on the left, that is basically the framework of personalized learning with the State Department. It aligns with the South Carolina profile of a graduate. So when we encountered challenges with the traditional report card that basically kind of pigeonhole students into one pacing, it's a universal pacing, kids are assessed at the same time, we report cumulatively on where a child is, and it can be discouraging to kids if they're at the beginning of a learning progression when really they just need some more time to master a skill. So we tried to align our reporting to the profile of a graduate and came up with this, and I know you all have copies of this, so we just took snippets out just to briefly review. We have, like I said, it's aligned with the profile of a graduate, and you'll see that the language of the learning checkpoints does not include a numeric value at all. There's no percentage, there's no 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's not an average, it's an actual reflection of where a child is in mastering a skill at that moment in time. You'll see that the language over on the left shows if a skill is emerging, if it's developing, if a student is demonstrating, that would be on grade level, and applying would be a student that's advanced. You'll see that the world-class knowledge is our content areas, and for students, this is all formulated in I can statements. The language is student-friendly, it's very clear, and it communicates to students and parents and teachers exactly where a child is in mastering content, so that we know where to put the focus for each child within the school. You'll see also that we've done away with quarters, and there are 8 reporting periods or checkpoints essentially, and then really we're going to formatively assess the entire year, and we don't summatively look at where a child is in acquiring knowledge and mastery until that 8th block. That's why it's in bold. We also have incorporated into the report card world-class skills and our life and career characteristics. That was developed based on some of the work done with the Tri-County Report Card Initiative, as well as the process standards for our content areas. These come directly from behaviors that we know students need to be successful long after they leave us. They focus on the 4 C's, and we know that businesses want these characteristics in students when they leave our schools. And so we have got the commitment from the State Department to come in and provide professional development to help integrate all of those standards as well into all of our project-based learning next year. So that's kind of an overview of that learner profile. Lots of benefits. It has, the kids will be able to speak to it as will the teacher, but I think for me personally, the culture in our school building is pretty exciting. I will also tell you an indirect benefit I feel like is teacher retention. Right now, our classroom teachers, we've got 100% retention. We don't have anybody leaving us. That's a home run class right now. And I think it's directly related to the autonomy teachers have in being able to do what they need to do for every individual child in their classroom. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julia Rowland, our 5th grade teacher.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I would like to start off by saying that this has been my favorite year of teaching so far. Having had the opportunity to explore personalized learning has no doubt made me a stronger teacher. I have witnessed my students achieve new heights that they didn't think were possible at the beginning of the year. From plotting newspaper articles on a hallway map to coding the journey of westward expansion, these kids amaze me day in and day out. Personalized learning has helped me to engage, educate, and empower every child in my classroom every single day, and that isn't always easy. In my classroom, I have 5 students who receive reading intervention, 4 students who have been retained previously, 4 ESOL students, 3 students with IEPs, 2 students who have been placed in gifted and talented for the upcoming year, but I only have one Ernie Taylor, who is with me tonight, who's going to share a little bit about the growth that he's made this year with me.
School has been good this year. I have met new people and learned many new things. I have learned about fractions, multiplying decimals, and I am reading bigger books than I usually read. I am getting help from my favorite teacher, and I appreciate how this year has gone. This year is okay not to know at first, but I know that I can ask for help and defeat my mistakes. I enjoy having a variety of kids in my class who speak different languages and have different cultures. Hopefully I can learn to speak those languages one day. I enjoy getting to work in groups this year since I can learn from others. I've been able to achieve 2 big goals this year. First was reading my first ever chapter book, and I have jumped reading levels. I also learned that I have some weaknesses, but with hard work I can do anything. I would like to introduce my friend Grayson Green.
I was a member of our video team. 3 of my classmates and I planned, recorded, and edited and produced the following video with no help from Miss Rowland. Enjoy.
Superior. Organized chaos.
Engaged. Peaceful. Encouraged. Responsible. Intelligent. Gritty.
So I would like to thank the team for giving me the privilege of following that tough act. So in order to ensure that we have quality implementation, where are we? Oh, Ms. Wimmer, help me out. Okay. It's good. We've developed a draft timeline of implementation. And so in order for this to potentially spread throughout the district, we're looking at just adding a grade level at a time so that there is quality training. Of course, we want to maintain teacher retention and keep quality throughout our feeder pattern as well. So as you can see here, I'm not going to read and insult your intelligence. We're going to add a grade level at a time. That is the proposal in hopes that we are adding schools on as well as we get it implemented to the best of our ability with the support of all of our offices at Central Services. One other very important component is support from our stakeholders. And for our parents, we want to be very clear about what the competency base means, as well as the progressions. So as you can see, for our parents, there are going to be some transitions nights. So our first one is, let's see, is it Thursday? I have lost my calendar. I am calendar challenged. So we do have So we have I got to talk in the mic because they got to record it. Oh. So we have a night planned.
People watch it too.
That's right, I forgot.
People watch it.
So we have a transition night in order for our parents to understand what it's going to look like within the feeder pattern. There are going to be 2 information sessions as well. And there is a frequently asked question handout that is what we call a working document, so that as we get feedback from Central Services, our parents, the State Department, and the other districts that we're working with, we can update that as necessary. And again, just your regular ways that we communicate. Thank you to our PR office. For our teachers, it is going to be very important that we work very closely with the State Department so that we are in line with the expectations. We are in line with district policy. We will continue with the professional development in the upcoming years, and we want to embed the experience within each grade level. So, for example, as we roll on a grade level, you're not just stagnant at that level of training. So, if Miss Rowland is already on A, we can continue to advance her and basically start like a train-the-trainer model so that it will spread and be consistent. All right, that concludes our presentation.
I have a question. So these students that have experienced this year, next year, this will be implemented in their next grade? Or
they're rolling up to middle school.
They're rolling up to middle school.
So we're starting it in 3rd next year at our school, and Michelle will start it in 2nd. And then we'll work up as she works down.
Goes down. Yeah, the continuity is so. I had the pleasure of one of my children did multi-age, Montessori and then multi-age, and then one of my children only got to do a little bit of multi-age, and then he went back to a normal classroom for a little while. And that is, when you're used to this and you go back to normal classroom, it's a hard transition back when you're used to having so much autonomy, even as the student, to select things that you enjoy. So I guess my thing would be that we keep growing forward so they don't ever have to step back.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we are very much committed to. We call that schizophrenic programming, and so we want to make sure that we are working with. We take that all the way through. So Westview Elementary really looked at shifting their instructional practices this year. That was the first step. We'll be working with Westview Middle. We've already been in contact with them to start doing some training with them in terms of that shift in instructional practices, and then that report card comes naturally along with that.
And the other report card with all the ones and the twos and the fours and all that, we're not going to do two things. We're not going to overburden people with two sets of things to do.
We are not. That will for these grades. That's going to replace the report card out. The other thing that we're doing at the primary is we're actually piloting kind of a competency based with our primary report card. We gave that to our elementary principals to see who wanted to pilot it, and interesting, half of them wanted to pilot that. But eventually, that will move all the way into our primary grades. This is really how we should be reporting progress on our students. Think about if you get a report card, a B doesn't tell you really what they know, but if you got a competency-based report card that said your kids know this skill, and this is the next thing that we need to work on, think about how meaningful that is. That's really what we should be doing.
And the goal would be to have this in all our elementary and all our middle schools, correct?
Eventually, we would like to work towards that. But certainly looking at a pilot first and then working through that pilot.
And I would just recommend that we keep an eye on Tony Wagner's work with Mastery Transcript.
Yep.
It's being piloted in several, right now, private high schools across the country, and it's more of a descriptive transcript as opposed to the traditional transcript that we expect in college. So I think we're on the cusp of a major shift in education. 5 years ago, when I would say these things, it'd be like hitting my head against the brick wall. But now it's starting to get some traction. And this isn't, I don't want to downplay any of what we've done. I'm so proud of you, but it's not exactly like it's never been done before. This has been done in lots of places. So we're just sort of getting on the train, I guess, is what I'm saying. But I'm proud of our teachers and principals and adults, and especially our kids, for being so willing to dig into the weeds on it, Thank you.
We say we want to change, and then we really don't want to change. We just want to change the outcome, but we don't want to change our behavior. It's very hard to change the behavior. So kudos for changing the mindset and changing the behavior, because we know we want a different outcome, and we want these positive outcomes.
Exactly. And I'm really thrilled about this program. I've been saying this for a long time, that we need that autonomy in the classroom. We need for our children to enjoy learning and feel motivated. And looking at these two young people here, I'm so proud of y'all for being our little guinea pigs. It's just, and I can promise you'll probably be awesome as you work your way up into your upper grades, and you just warm my heart.
I had a question for the parents, if that's okay. What kind of changes have y'all noticed in the kids coming home and stuff?
With Grayson, it's this whole year, it's not been a battle of getting up makes me teary-eyed. It's not like being afraid to go to school or I don't want to go to school today. Right. It's always like, yes, I love school. She's had issues with, bullying her in the past, speaking of her past, and it's in the past, and it's this year, it's just been the morale in the classroom. There's just so much happy for the kids to get along. They work together. It's been a great year. I want to stay in fifth grade with Ms. Brooklyn forever. Right. Ms. Wimmer is amazing in what she's done with the school, period. So it's just the whole school for me. I'm excited for my son to come up next year in the third grade. So.
Excellent. I had a feeling this is what you were going to be saying. I just wanted to hear it. No. Yeah, absolutely.
So how are the competencies actually determined? Is it the individual classroom teacher, or is it a set of principles or requirements?
So we took the standards within, and we've got a second grade and the third grade developed, and we looked at the content standards first, and to make it meaningful to children, most importantly. In some instances, we've taken those content standards and combined them into learning targets. So you'll see on that learning report that it says, I can, and then there's a learning target underneath. You'll also, hopefully in your packets, you got a learning progression. Did you? Okay, so when you take those broader I can statements, for parents, every time we open a new I can statement, and children are already aware of it, if you go into Miss Rowland's room, they know the progression of skills they have to master and scaffold to hit the learning target. And so all of those skills are broken down for kids, so it's like a ladder that builds up to that bigger I can statement. Because most important of all, I think, is that we want students to own how they get to where we want them to be, so that we're creating independent, critical thinkers that can advocate for themselves and don't need to wait on somebody to tell them what to do to reach a goal. We want them to own it and be driven intrinsically, and we feel like we've seen that this year. So all of those broad I can statements are standards-based.
Are they levels of competency?
Yes, sir. So if you look at that learning progression, where we have scaffolded all of the skills that lead up to the larger target, we have basically, we talk with kids about, okay, for parents, if we say you're emerging, then there's a set of skills that you will have acquired and mastered and demonstrated that you can do to earn that emerging rating. The same thing with developing. That means you've got some of that background knowledge, you're on your way, you're not quite there yet, but you're working on it. And so a child may be in developing for a couple of reporting periods, because some kids learn at different rates than others. And then when they show mastery in all of that set of skills, that means they've mastered the ones before, they've shown, and when we talk about mastered, you're not going to walk into Miss Rowland's room, or really not many places in my building anymore, where kids are not hands-on creating. So it's not superficial, it's deep learning that goes on. And so then when they reach the target, they're at demonstrating. And then the other thing that I think sometimes happens in schools is that we focus on the kids that need remediation a lot, because we worry about them not having what they need to be on grade level. And sometimes those kids that are already on grade level and really need to be enriched kind of wither on the vine. And so this is going to let us know we've got kids already on grade level and we need to be pushing them on and higher. So there's a progression for that as well that feeds teachers and informs teachers in what they do. It transforms practice in the classroom, where we're really targeting instruction for every single child.
So how does the end of the year promotion retention discussion happen? Who facilitates this? Who makes the final decision?
So our plan is so first of all, there are, with the 8 reporting periods, one of the things we've done this year is that we have student-led conferencing. And so parents come in and the teacher doesn't lead the conference, the child does. And so the child pulls out a portfolio of work and talks the parent through where their strengths are, where they want to grow. And our intention through collaboration with our district office is to prioritize. So we're going to identify a small handful of priority learning targets that are absolutely essential to be successful in the next grade. And then those on that report will have an asterisk by them. And so we want kids, there may be a set of 10 learning targets in mathematics, but collectively, we may agree that there are 3 priority learning targets that a kid absolutely has to have to be successful moving on. And so we want a child in demonstrating for those learning targets. And that also focuses instruction as well. So with a traditional system, you've got universal pacing, and you're going to keep moving on. And the kid, if they haven't developed proficiency, they get left behind sometimes. There's an opportunity for them to fall through the cracks. This way, with priority standards or priority learning targets marked, that teacher is going to hammer that with that child, and that child knows what his or her primary focus is for the whole year. And we just don't move beyond that until they get those skills they need to be successful moving on. Because too many times, educators will tell you, you receive children that have significant gaps that we're trying to close so that they can be successful. So this helps us make sure that we don't send a child on unprepared.
How is this going to be uniformly applied throughout the district? Because you're talking about one facility, one school. I'm concerned about diversity for one school to the next, to make sure that it's applied uniformly and consistently throughout the district.
So I'm going to tell you what our plan is in my school, and I would think that it's probably going to be pretty similar. I'm also going to tell you that, truth be told, if we're really honest, we don't have consistency in grading now from school to school. When I look at triangulating data in my own building with traditional report cards, on standardized testing data, I have children that are in the bottom quartile, yet I also have those same children who are earning A's and B's on a report card. That's meaningless. So, in my opinion, our plan moving forward is to actually look at student work samples so that our professional learning communities, essentially what happens is, we're going to take that learning progression. We're looking at project-based, hands-on work that kids are creating. We're coming back as a team and evaluating student work samples so that everybody is on the same page with what does demonstrating look like. Because when you have those conversations from classroom to classroom and you come up with a consensus of what it looks like, that's much more meaningful than me shutting my door, going into my classroom and finding something to grade so that I have enough grades on the report card to average. This is not an average. It's a moment in time. And so we're going to build consensus that way.
And I think that's the next step in terms of our PLC work, is this is really, right now, PLCs are taking standards, we're breaking down standards. It's doing that same kind of work so that we've got consistency across what everybody thinks mastery is. And I think the other thing, too, is that students have to demonstrate mastery 3 times, multiple times. So it's not a one shot, we think that child's mastered and we've moved on, but that we are getting to that deep learning, utilizing rubrics, calibrating.
What if in grade 3 a particular child has a state testing in reading and does not demonstrate mastery, and is required by the state to have additional work throughout the summer? Does this cannot supersede or supplant a state requirement?
It's not going to supplant a state requirement, but what it is going to do when we talk about lapse and documenting intervention, that's built into what we're doing. So it's not going to require our teachers to do something different, but it truly is getting down to differentiation and intervention for students. And I think the other part of that is accelerating, because I don't think that right now we're accelerating children. And it moves us away from the bubble test, that truly kids are learning and walking away with learning.
Thank you.
I do have a question for the teacher, Ms. Rowland. What would you estimate your work? So you've taught traditional and you've taught this way 1 year. Do you feel like it's more workload, same workload, different workload? What did that, because a lot of things that we hear here are the hours that teachers are putting in, how that, my daughter has a teacher who grades on Saturday afternoons, right? It makes her very upset because then if she hasn't turned in homework, the zeros pop up. She's like, daggone it, why does she have to grade on Saturdays? And I'm thinking, daggone it, why does she have to grade on Saturdays? For 2 different reasons. So will you tell us a little bit about what you feel like the workload, and since there's not traditional grading, what does that look like?
To be honest, it's a lot of upfront work. So when I look at a unit or a set of skills, it's a lot of work on the front end, but then it's a lot on the kids after that. I mean, they're the ones that are driving their instruction. As far as grading goes, a lot of the grading that we do is in class. I'm grading alongside the child. So I don't take a ton of papers home this year. I'm giving them projects and things that they're doing in class, and they're all turning them in and finishing them at different times. And so it's not like, I have a stack of 52 essays to take home and grade on a Friday night, because they're all completing different things. They may not all be writing essays. Some of them could have done like a video video or a comic strip or whatever it may have been. It is work, and we know that teachers have a lot of work on them, but it's work that really excites me. It's not just lesson plans like you typically do. It's, okay, what can we do this week that is going to engage the kids? And the kids drive a lot of what I do in my classroom. And like we were doing our last unit that we just worked on in math, and I pulled a couple of my kids over, Grayson included, and said, here's what I have laid out for this unit. What do you like? What do you don't like? What do you want me to add? What do you want me to change? She wanted it to be rainbow colored so that they would know where they were in their progression. So it's fun, and we do it together, and it's not just me sitting down. I collaborate a lot with my instructional coach, Ms. Stello. She helps me a great deal with just creating ideas and generating new things that are going to get the kids excited. So all in all, I think the workload is about the same, but it's work that I'm excited and I'm happy about doing, and the kids are excited about it as well.
Do we have it built into the PLC to take her great ideas so everybody doesn't have to reinvent the wheel as you're going different places?
Yes, they collaborate. So this year was an exploratory year. And one of our challenges was for teachers to integrate as much content as they could together in project-based learning that allowed students to demonstrate mastery at the end of a unit of instruction. And so that collaborative work is all done together. So they have the pieces, it's shared brain power, and the best ideas come out of that. And so the burden is definitely shared. We are also blessed to have a phenomenal instructional coach who is hands down, I wouldn't trade her for the world. I mean, she has definitely made this much, much easier. You also brought up a point that I think is really important to make. You said, they get a 0 if they haven't done homework. This system does not grade behavior. This system only grades learning. And so we don't penalize kids if they don't have a support system at home, or if they forget their homework, or if they're not quite organized enough yet to keep up with things. Right now we have kids that are doing poorly because they don't have developmentally the behaviors that support academic success mastered yet. This pulls that off the table so that the child is not penalized for that. We really are evaluating true, genuine, deep learning using this system.
What I like about the collaborative teaching is the collaborative teaching aspect of this as well. And I think it also generates student helping student. And that is, to me, one of the biggest components that you could even put into good use in a classroom, so that they're inspiring one another.
I'll say it creates the soft skill too of the team.
And it's also a big part of what is expected in today's workplace is the ability to work together and figure things out. Collaboratively is very key now.
Hold you accountable to that, David.
I had the pleasure of watching collaborative teaching take place about a year or so ago, and I was just so enthralled with the enthusiasm among the students, and not a single student appeared bored, appeared to be lost. And it was just amazing to me how strongly they were motivated, and the things that they were learning was just mind-boggling at elementary school level. And I was just genuinely impressed. So I think we're on to something here. And go ahead.
Yes, and I did want to add that there are parent resources available within those learning progressions. So that's just a wonderful cherry on top. One of the things we often hear is, how do I help my student? And if they're here, what can I do, or what skills do they need, and what resources? So those resources are available, via digitally, paper, pencil, in order to support the parents as well. So they have a clear picture of how to help their child at home. So that's just awesome. A little cherry on top right there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when can we get these other schools involved? I'm really excited about this.
So say you got to prove them through. And
right.
Mary Page Walford 100% has the support to press send on the Google Classroom to get her homework turned in, but she's 14, so some of that is just being 14. I am so excited about this. I feel like we've taken a lot of time, but I think it's so important. We will much be looking forward to where we're going next and hearing from parents and hearing from teachers to see if this really is the path that gives the autonomy and gives the engagement that we're really looking for, that we want to provide in Berkeley County. So we're excited.
Okay. Thank you.
So we respectfully ask the committee for approval to begin the 3-year pilot in 2019-20 school year of competency-based education at Westview Primary and Westview Elementary.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do, Dr. Wolf. I'm going to make that motion. I make the motion to approve the administration's recommendation to begin a 3-year pilot in the 2019-2020 school year of competency-based education in Westview Primary and Westview Elementary Schools as presented.
Second.
You're not on the committee.
It's not, you're not on my committee, Michael.
Got very upset.
Doggone it, I wanted to second it so bad.
It's up to Mr. Barrow.
You trying to steal my thunder?
I was trying. I'm jacked up.
I second the motion.
All right. All of those who are opposed apparently are not here. So the motion is approved by a vote of 2-0. Thank you, Dr. Wolf. Thank you, ladies. And thank y'all.
Yes, especially everybody for coming.
Okay. Where am I? I'm so excited about this. I've lost.
Do you want to let the students go?
Yes.
I was going to say, if y'all came just to present for this, we know you have testing and all kinds of things going on to not hang around with us at night. So thank y'all very much for coming.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. The third agenda item is the Teacher Forum Quarterly Update. Dr. Wolf? No, I'm sorry. Nick, you are recognized.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Ingram, thank you for the opportunity to give you our spring update tonight from Teacher Forum. We've had, our last opportunity to share was in December, and we've had quite a busy time since that time period. I listed a few of our events and opportunities that we've had an opportunity to participate in. So many of you got to participate in our Board Appreciation Month in January, where we had some food catered and had some cards made and some different things to show our appreciation for the jobs that you do. We had our BCSD conference in February this year, which I'll get into that a little bit more here in a moment. We had our new Teachers of the Year board meeting and reception. We had the new Teacher of the Year recognition at Freedom Church. We also got to recognize these teachers at the annual Trident Breakfast. And we've also continued with many of our Teacher Forum meetings and LCAC meetings. And so I just kind of put a few of our pictures to go along with those, and a few things that we had the opportunity to do. Again, we enjoyed getting to serve you guys, and know it's a tough role, and we appreciate all that you've done. Our conference this year, I was really excited about our conference this year because we had some, for a couple of years in a row, we have lost opportunities for our many of our teacher work days, and so we came up with the idea of using the conference day as a half-day professional development, half-day work day. And for the most part, all the feedback we got, teachers really appreciated that. They liked the idea, and it also helped us logistically, planning-wise, because some of the big issues we have with this conference are parking and transportation and lunches and things like that. So the way we did it, the first half of the day was at the Cane Bay Middle, Cane Bay Elementary, and Cane Bay High School. We had professional development for our elementary level, our primary and elementary level, and then the second half of the day was mostly middle and high school level. And so there was an hour in between those times where traffic was able to move, and we had a lot of great things. We had a vendors expo that we were able to raise over $7,000 in that. All of the money that we raised through the conference, we give back into teacher scholarships. You see a few more pictures here on the left are some of our expo, our winners. We also had a silent auction, things that we gave away. We had a lot of great sessions this year. We had also, for the first time since I've been in Berkeley County, we had one of our House of Representatives came to lead 2 sessions talking about the House bill that had been put out. So those sessions were jam-packed, and I think they were productive. There was a lot of good conversation that took place in those, and many people just got to meet a representative that they didn't even know they had. We also had Dr. Ingram speak, and we had State Teacher of the Year Jeff Maxey speak. That was a little hurtful for me, but I invited him anyways to be a part of things, because he's a fantastic guy with a great message. So we were able to offer the conference. We were able to offer over 235 different sessions for our teachers. Again, it was a half and half day. And in total, between our t-shirt sales and our silent auction and our vendors, we were able to raise about $10,000, which we're going to give around 18 $450 scholarships back to our teachers in our own district from that money. And they use those things that we've actually already gone through the application process, and they're going to be able to use those things for field trips and seating and flexible seating and all kinds of things that they want to do to make their classrooms a little bit better of a better atmosphere for their students. We got a chance to add a couple more schools this year for our new teacher board recognition. So this took place at Fox Bank Elementary, and we decided to get everybody out in the sun there for the front of the school for the pictures. We probably won't do that next time, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. And then at that meeting, we narrowed it down to the top 8 semifinalists for the Teacher of the Year. At our Freedom event at Freedom Church, we got to recognize all of the great teachers again. One of the things that my opportunities the last couple of years, I've had a chance to really see districts from across the state, and I can tell you that one thing Teacher Forum is doing well, and in conjunction with our district, is recognizing our Teachers of the Year and celebrating our Teachers of the Year. A friend of mine that was one of the top 5 finalists with me, he told me, and I won't name his district, but he told me that when he found out he was District Teacher of the Year, they gave him he received a box, and when he opened it, it had already been opened, and half the contents had already been used. I can't even remember what he said it was, but he said it wasn't anything to be real excited about. So I just think we're doing a great job of celebrating our new Teachers of the Year, and really making them, trying to show them that we value them. And so we also named our top 3 finalists, Amy from Daniel Island, Kimberly from Nexton, and then Thomas from Sangaree. And then at the Trident Breakfast, as many of you know, just last month, we had a chance to narrow it down. I thought Thomas gave a fantastic victory speech that day and just really nailed so many things that it was very articulate, and I appreciated that from the English background. You know, he communicated so much of his desire and his passion for education, and so a great event. We've continued with our teacher forum meetings. This year we have really tried to make it a goal to teacher forum, tried to make it a goal to become more present in the social media world. So we started Twitter for Teacher Forum, we started Instagram, and we just tried to post pictures and feedback of things to let people know what Teacher Forum is, to celebrate our schools, to celebrate our teachers, and things that don't require a whole lot of effort necessarily, but can just kind of be a few clicks of the button. And at the April 30th meeting, I officially passed the gavel to Emily as she transitioned into her new role. I had grand ideas of creating like a column, you know, like a Roman or Greek column type thing, and putting the gavel at the top with a glass case over it, but I couldn't find any of that, so I used a trash can with Christmas lights because I felt like that was somewhat symbolic of the opportunity. So no, it's been a great opportunity, and I think that she took the gavel and I ran away after that. So I've had an amazing 2 years. I wish I could really communicate that, but it would take a long time to tell all of the stories and what I have learned. You know, I've been recognized in ways that I never thought possible. I've been recognized in ways that honestly almost I felt bad about at times, because I worked with so many amazing people that I didn't see getting the same recognition, or that haven't gotten the same public recognition, and I know they're deserving. So I had the honor and privilege to help select a new superintendent for our district, and just growing personally and professionally, I think for myself, just opportunities to network and meet people from across the state has been very powerful. And one thing that I've become very passionate about is the opportunity to develop teachers in my own building, but also through Teacher Forum into teacher leaders. And I don't think I've been a perfect teacher leader by any means. I definitely have some areas that I lack in. One of the first things Emily said to me when she started working with me was, she said, "You still use Microsoft Word?" And I said, "Yeah, sometimes I do." So, I've had to learn a little bit more, become a little more technologically savvy, but I'm improving, I think. So, and all throughout this time, I've been able to continue to do my best teaching and preparing my students throughout that time. So I just, kind of in conclusion, I have a couple of closing thoughts that I want to share, and I really challenge you as a board. I've had a chance to come to a lot of the meetings and see you work with one another and develop core values and those. And I just encourage you to continue to remember and support the fact that strong students in schools really ultimately require amazing teachers, and teachers who've been supported and developed and valued. And I made a quick list of some ways that I just encourage you to keep doing that. Firstly, I want you to keep in mind that we appreciate the steps that have been taken financially, and I don't think anyone has been upset by the pay increase or anything like that. But there's so much more to supporting and developing and valuing teachers, and so please continue to fight for class sizes. This is one thing that I hear over and over again, that we can be more effective within our schools if we have class sizes that allow for opportunities to give more one-on-one feedback and more personal relationships. My administrators at Cane Bay are amazing. but I have the largest class sizes I've had since I've taught in Berkeley County this year. Part of that is, allocations and things like that, I understand, but I just ask you to continue to fight for class sizes. I ask you to continue to choose great school leadership, and I think I hear a lot of great stories, and I see Adra and other people that are we are making some great decisions in school leadership. If I had not had administrators my first year of teaching that believed in my strengths over my weaknesses, none of this would have happened in the last 2 years. I can assure you that, because I was a train wreck of sorts. And the only thing I had going for me, I felt at the time, was that I loved kids and I built relationships with kids, and I tried to bring the curriculum around. But please continue to choose great school leadership. Please continue to give opportunities to have voice, for people to be seen as professionals, to have a voice. Don't be afraid of some tension at times. Tension can be a good thing if it's the right amount. I ask for time, preferably during the school day, of course, to be learned and challenged, and learning and challenging through professional development, and really the opportunity to support professional development that teachers choose. I mean, we're here talking, I love hearing what they were just talking about with Westview. We need to continue to give teachers the opportunity to choose professional development that interests them and that drives them, and not just, if we're expecting it from our students, we need to be giving our teachers the same opportunity, or else it's somewhat hypocritical, I think. Additionally, continue to support us with resources, buildings, and materials that promote forward thinking and direction in education. And just every time that you face something as a board, I hope, especially with initiatives and mandates test, I hope you'll sort of frame it through the filter of, is this ultimately going to help our teachers build relationships and teach our students? There's a lot of things out there that give us feedback, but they don't always help us build relationships and teach our students. And so, please continue to support and develop. And secondly, I think anyone who's been in this role as the District Teacher of the Year and Teacher Forum Chair would say that it's very rewarding. But it's also equally as challenging and time-consuming. I've spent quite a few evenings, tonight included, where my kids ask me where I'm going, or why aren't you coming to this or this? And so, and we knew that going into it. But Emily and I have brought some pretty bold requests to Dr. Ingram and the cabinet members that we think would vastly improve this role and teacher forum. We have one of the strongest teacher forums in the state. I really believe that after talking to people across from the state. And so we've brought some bold requests, and I ask, as you hear those requests, that you try in every way possible to support that as a board, so that we can make teacher forum something that is desired. People want to be on it. They want to win Teacher of the Year at the school. They want to go for district teacher, not viewing it as a burden, but as an opportunity to grow and to develop other people along in the process. So I'm so thankful. I'm going to close with this. Grew up with parents that instilled a lot of scripture in me, and this was one we talked about quite a bit. It comes out of the book of Matthew. It says, "You are light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who's in heaven." And I hope that, I don't want to make it all about myself, but I hope that I have been a light for our district and for our profession, And for my colleagues and students and administrators, I hope that I've helped to shed some light on some opportunities and some needs, but also supporting and working in conjunction with you and with Cabinet in this process. It's been a great opportunity for me, and I'll just close by saying thank you to everyone, and I'm sure I probably left someone off of the list, but I really am thankful for the opportunity for this recognition. Board members, Dr. Ingram, Cabinet members, Penny, Katie, and Brian, Stephanie and Dr. Wolf, and teacher forum members who they make me look a lot better than I probably am. All the committees, they join together and we have great teacher forum members. And then last but not least, my faculty and staff at Cane Bay. So I thank you and I appreciate the opportunity. I don't know how many more board meetings you'll see me at in the future, but I might drop in every once in a while just to see what's happening. I do plan to continue to advocate for my students and my profession, though, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. I would like to take this moment to thank you, Nick, for the service that you've done and provided on Teacher Forum, and for the board, and for the district office as well. It's been a pleasure working with you, and we just look forward to you being an awesome teacher even more. Okay? Thank you so much, and you are absolutely correct. I really think that we have the best teacher forum in the state. I've watched many teachers come in and out of this building here and talk with many, and I feel like we've got the cream of the crop, and we have no way to go but up. So thank you again.
I wanted to say thank you to Nick also. I mean, you're amazing in my eyes, of course. And your family, oh my goodness, I just want to say thank you to them for letting them share you with us. You're definitely, we're so glad to have you.
You are a light.
Yeah, I mean, you are such a light. I cannot say enough good words to describe it. So thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this committee meeting so that the Finance and Human Resources Committee meeting can begin.
So moved.
Second, we are adjourned.
I'm calling the Committee on Finance and Human Resources to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and note the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Our first agenda item is second reading to adopt policy GBEEB crowdfunding. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Ingram, and board members. For second reading, we have one policy. For first reading, we have revisions to 5 rules, 1 exhibit, 2 policies, and adoption of 1 policy, 1 rule, and 1 exhibit. These policies, rules, and exhibits are from academic services, administrative services, or internal audit. We are asking for second reading to adopt policy GBEEB crowdfunding. Are there any questions?
I move to approve second reading to adopt policy GBEEB crowdfunding.
Second.
I don't have any questions.
No second on that one?
No, I made the motion, you made the second. There's only 2 of us.
No, okay.
You got to call the question.
I will call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. It is approved by a vote of 2-0. Second agenda item is first reading approval for revision to Rule IFCB-R Field Study. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized again.
Thank you. The principals requested updating 5 rules, 2 policies, and requested an additional exhibit concerning field study, student behavior, harassment, intimidation, or bullying, student suspension, and student expulsion. The principals at elementary, middle, and high schools provided feedback on suggested additions or corrections to the policies, rules, and exhibits made by a committee comprised of middle and high school principals. The principals shared the changes with their administrative teams for their review and suggestions. Dr. Gilman presented the changes to the cabinet for their review and suggestions. Policy AR IFCB-R Field Study Instructional. There were some wording changes throughout the policy. Sponsors was changed to teachers and our sponsors. There's changes under the basic procedures. Students may be asked to pay up to $100 for a 1-day in-state field study or 1 night in-state field study. Students may not be responsible for more than 50% of an out-of-state overnight field study for 1 night or multiple nights. For groups of male and female students, it is required both male and female chaperones accompany the students, was a change. Another change was the approved list of chaperones by the principal of at least 10 days in advance of a field study. Another change, teachers and our sponsors must submit the formal request for the field study to the principal or his or her designee on the proper form at least 10 school days before a single day or single night field study, or at least 20 school days before all overnight field study requests occurring beyond a 150-mile radius of the school. Exceptions to these requirements may be school competitions when a student or team of students win competitions occurring within the time limits of a field study request. Another change was the 100-mile radius has been changed to a 150-mile radius throughout the policy. We're asking for first reading approval for revision to IFCB-R field study. Are there any questions?
Dr. Whitley, is it possible for me to group all of these first readings, or for you to give us all of the changes for the first readings and let us group that together in one
as a motion?
One motion?
Yes, ma'am, and from now on I'll be more than happy to do that.
Okay. Are there any other specific changes on any of the other policies that you want to point out?
A lot of these changes were, and it kind of falls through with the field study, is like the 100-mile radius changed to 150-mile radius. The 20 school days, that's been changed from 10 school day request. And that's also on exhibit IFCBE-E. The additional, well, that's an adoption, okay. Revision to policy JCDAAA, harassment, intimidation, or bullying. That was just minor changes, just some wording. Also in students' suspension, policy ARJDD-R, or the rule, the word changing investigation of misbehavior 3 days changed to 5 days to make up the assignments. The student expulsion, ARJDE-R, they taking out the right of the student to request copies of witnesses' statements from the administrator because witnesses' statements are not part of the expulsion packet. A change, the petition in that same one for readmission placed on probation for 1 year at the discretion of the administration of the school. The ARJCDA-R rules student behavior code. In level 2, I think it was added paraphernalia associated with all of the devices that were listed. Alternative school changes to a district alternative program. Also, I think it's important that students are prohibited from using electronic communication devices to take pictures or record video, audio in locker rooms, bathrooms, hallways, on school buses or other district vehicles, or in other areas designated by the school administration. And there's also a new form that was created by request to support the rule for the field study, which is the overnight form. And I think those are the ones from Administrative Services.
All right, I move to approve the first reading for revision to Rule IFCBR Field Study, Exhibit IFCBE1 Request for Field Study, Rule IKAR Grading Revision to Grading Assessment, Policy JCDAAAA Harassment, Intimidation, or Bullying, JCDAAAR the Rule for Harassment, Intimidation, or Bullying, Rule JDDR, the Rule for Student Suspension, Rule JDER, the Rule for Student Expulsions, Rule JICDAR, Student Behavior Code, Policy DIDA, Internal Audit, Rule DIDAR, the Rule for Internal Audit, and Exhibit IFCBE2, Exhibit for Overnight Out-of-State Field Study.
We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is approved by a vote of 2-0. Thank you, Dr. Whitley.
Thank you.
Our 12th agenda item is first reading approved to adopt Exhibit 13th agenda item is BVB 3533-18-19 IDC for painting services. Ashley Smith, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, members of the board, and Dr. Ingram. BVB 533 included 3 projects: the exterior of Mount Holly Elementary School and portions of the interior at Hanahan Middle School and College Park Middle School. The painting project at Mount Holly Elementary School will commence immediately upon board approval, and the projects at Hanahan and College Park Middle Schools will commence as soon as students and teachers are out on summer break. This contract is also structured as an indefinite delivery contract with a single project value of $150,000 and a maximum contract value of $750,000. Subsequent projects completed under this contract will be competed amongst the awarded contractors as they arise for the remainder of the contract term. The contract term will not exceed 24 months and will terminate earlier if the maximum contract value of $750,000 is met earlier. BVB number 533 is awarded to B&R Painting Incorporated for Mount Holly Elementary School Exterior Painting Project, Hanahan Middle School Interior Painting Project, College Park Middle School Interior Painting Project, and also awarded for subsequent projects JW Painting and Repairs LLC, Myers Crossing, and Town and Country Painting.
I move to approve BVB 533-1819 indefinite delivery contract for painting services to be awarded to B&R Painting Inc. for Mount Holly Elementary School exterior painting, Hanahan Middle School interior painting, College Park Middle School interior painting, and subsequent projects awarded to JW Painting and Repairs LLC, Town and Country Painting, and Myers Crossing. The maximum value $750,000.
We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion has been approved by a vote of 2-0.
Michael, you're going to show yourself as a second. Like Wofford Ramsey 2-0. You're going to show yourself as a second on that, on those votes.
Yes.
You're on the second.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Okay, you're on the
All right,
second. That's how we recorded it. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
We're good to go. And this item, we're going to finish the committee meetings. We're going to go back to the full board because this is something that needs to be done. So if anybody's got questions about this, we're going to vote on it when we go back out of recess here in a few minutes. I move to approve RFQ 544-1819 indefinite delivery contract for roofing and building envelope consultants to ADC Engineering Inc. and WMB Building Envelope Consultants LLC. Is there a maximum price on that?
The maximum contract value is $300,000.
Maximum contract value of $300,000.
Okay, second. We will now call the question.
Wait just a minute. Can you tell us where, what roofing is going to be done and where?
This procurement process was qualification-based and did not include bidding for any specific projects. However, the district intends to utilize this contract to design a significant roofing replacement project at Berkeley High School as soon as it is awarded.
Okay. I did not know that. That's great news. Mr. Steele will be very happy for the water not to be dripping into the trophy case, which happens every single time it rains. True story.
We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion has been approved by a vote of 2-0. Ms. Smith, you are recognized.
Okay, administration is requesting a motion to approve the out-of-state travel as presented.
I move to approve the out-of-state travel requested as presented by administration.
Second. We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is approved by a vote of 2-0. Ms. Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. This is the first reading of our 1920 fiscal year general fund budget. The 1920 budget mainly focuses on the board priorities listed here: maintaining the same millage rate, teachers in the classroom, school safety, additional bookkeepers, mental health counselors, social workers, and additional maintenance staff. Our revenue projections include an increase in local tax revenue of $8.6 million, which is an increase of 10% from the 18-19 estimated revenue, $1.9 million in addition for fee and lieu, and $1.2 for Tier 3. I also want to clarify with this slide that when I stated in our budget workshop that when we partially funded the 4% increase, I was looking at the entire total, including fringe and retirement. Based on the new formulas, the total that we're receiving for the increase of the $6.6 million here, you see, but part of this and the decrease of the 2.2 includes an $866,000 fringe reduction, which is also offset by the 991. So that brings us to a total of $6.7 million of revenue for teacher salaries. Our total estimated actual cost of the 4% increase with fringe is $7.8 million, which is approximately 85%. So we're funded at 85% for total salaries and fringe. Berkeley County School District pays on average 15% more to our teachers than the base scale from the State Department of Education. We ran a comparison and looked at our scale in comparison to the base teacher salary scale, and our teachers are paid between an average of 10% and 20% depending on the years of experience. So we are well above the base teacher salary scale as a district. The only other revenue item I didn't mention here is the 2.4, which is an increase in EFA funding based on growth. The requests from our schools were overwhelmingly similar in their needs. This budget will address an increase in additional nurse supplies, EMH and EMD supplies, additional travel, media and library books, and special art allocations. It will also add 31 bookkeepers in our elementary and middle schools with 500 or more students. At our board workshop, we discussed all of the district needs in detail, and this slide will show a breakdown by department of the needs addressed in the 1920 budget. I did want to point out that the $355,951 does include the social workers and the mental health counselors, which is a board priority, as well as the maintenance budget increase of the $335,000, which includes the new positions discussed and also the additional allocation for the painter. The HR allocation includes the additional 0.5 assistant principal to the alternative school. I also would like to state that hiring of these positions will not affect any current positions or any programs that are currently funded in our 18-19 budget. This slide shows our total overall request for the 19-20 budget, including our teacher step and 1% increase, our mandated retirement increase, insurance increases, the additional 59 teacher allocations, the 12 allocations required based on personnel allocation formulas, 4% for employees other than teachers, our school and district level request, and the elementary and middle school level with a student count over 500 for bookkeepers. These requests bring us to a total of $21.3 million, which will require a fund balance commitment of $1.6 million if needed. Our 18-19 total general fund budget is $292.5 million, and we are expecting the 19-20 budget to increase to $312.3 million. In addition to the $1.6 million commitment of fund balance, as discussed in the board workshops, we are requesting an additional commitment of $1.15 million to bring our staff up to date on Hep B vaccines in order to be in compliance with OSHA regulations. Administration is requesting approval of the first reading of the 19-20 general fund budget.
For the benefit of the public, we did allocate 59 teacher allocations in March, but we did it prior to the budget because we are trying to recruit earlier to not have openings left open. So I just don't want people to see this and go, "Why did you do all that and you didn't add any teachers? What are you thinking?" But one of the big things that our teachers have asked for is the additional mental health counselors and support for children that need that. So we have increased teacher numbers, but we did that earlier, and then we tried to meet a big need we heard from teachers, which was the additional mental health counselors. So, or at least I heard from lots of teachers that they wanted and needed the mental health support. So, but the teacher allocation was done prior to our recruitment fair so that our folks had the ability to offer jobs.
And these additional positions do not affect anything for current programs. So those will be still in existence.
I move to approve the first reading of the general fund budget for 2019-2020.
Second. We will now call the question.
I have
Go ahead, Mr. Barrow.
Just a question.
Sure.
On the 59 teachers, Ms. Smith, we all did that, I think, in consideration of the teacher fair. We wanted the principals to be able to hire teachers and interview them and offer them positions early on to make sure that the other local districts were not, superseding us in doing that. But I have a question about the amount of money. The 59 teachers, there was an allocation of $4,991,400. And I did the math, and it just seems to be extraordinarily high. It was an average of $84,600 per teacher.
That's correct. So if you take an average of $62,000 and you include health insurance plus retirement and FICA, it comes to about $86,000.
Okay, so the average teacher salary was $62,000.
We based it on an average of 62.
Is that the average of the number?
That would be the middle ground, yes, sir.
Okay, so that makes sense. It just seems to be that
it seems high because it also included health insurance, an average of health insurance per teacher, and the additional retirement and workers' comp. Excuse me, FICA, not workers' comp.
Okay.
So that's the PBs and Ts.
Yes.
Benefits, taxes.
Yes, all of that.
Pension, benefits, taxes.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is approved by a vote of 2-0. Ms. Smith, you are recognized again.
Administration is requesting a motion to approve the first reading of the 2019-20 supply and travel allocation formulas.
I move to approve the first reading of the 2019-2020 supply and travel allocation formulas as presented.
Second. We'll now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is approved by a vote of 2-0. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
At this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn so the Facilities and Capital Planning Committee meeting can begin.
So moved.
Second. We'll call the question. All those in favor of adjourning respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned.
I'm calling the Committee on Facilities and Capital Planning to order. I declare that a quorum of committee members are present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first 3 agenda items are for information only, and the first one is on safety and security. Deion Jackson.
Good evening, Chairman McQuillan, Dr. Ingram, members of the board. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Tim Knight to the podium to provide our update on safety and security.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jackson. Pull up. All right, good evening, Chairman Mack, Dr. Ingram, members of the board. It's my pleasure to bring to you the spring security update. And I know the hour is getting late, as Jimi Hendrix once said, so I will make it quick.
This used to be nothing, man. We used to hang out here till 11 o'clock at night. Now 8:30 seems late. We're getting old.
It's true. We need that new overnight form Dr. Whitley to sign.
We have started quite a few new security initiatives this year, as you all know, including our anonymous tip reporting tool on the BCSD app. And so far this year, we have had exactly 59 tips come in, ranging from bullying to narcotic complaints, and all of these tips were investigated. And that has definitely kept us busy. We, as you know, we piloted and initiated our clear bag, no bag entry procedures at our athletic events, and now all of our athletic events utilize these procedures. We are continuing our physical security upgrades with the help of our facilities and technology departments in an ongoing effort to make our campuses as safe as possible. Being proactive is our motto in the security office, and we want to be cutting edge in all that we do. Bottom line is we want to continue to be the best. This past February during the 2019 Berkeley Conference, and thank you, Nick, for letting us present again the FBI Gunfire Awareness and Active Shooter Training Program, and we were able to present this to about 400 of our teachers. And due to the continual overwhelming positive response that we have received from the attendees, we will continue to provide this very important training program. Earlier this year, we provided all of our school resource officers with mass casualty kits, and our SROs received training both during spring break and during this past summer training program on how to successfully utilize these kits. And these kits contain life-saving equipment aimed to reduce fatalities should an emergency event take place at one of our schools, and hopefully we never have to use them. We have also participated in several tabletop emergency exercises with the Berkeley County Emergency Preparedness Office, along with our local law enforcement and first responder agencies, and city and county government leaders. And these exercises provide extensive collaboration on how each agency will respond to a host of different crisis and emergency events. And finally, we applied for a school safety grant, and we received $60,000. And we plan to use the grant money to increase security measures at Fishburne Education Center. And we are looking to add radio boosters in our schools for our law enforcement agencies to better communicate inside our schools, which of course is very important during emergency situations. As you know, we conduct at least 2 large-scale crisis simulations every year. For this year's fall event, we conducted an active shooter training simulation at Sedgefield Middle School. And last month, we conducted playground security tests. And we really have never done this before. And Brian and I were kind of tossing around some ideas on what to do this spring. And as you know, we've done a lot of physical security upgrades. And so we decided to try to infiltrate some of our elementary school playgrounds and see how quickly our teachers would notice and take action. And so we utilized a bad guy decoy to, like I said, to infiltrate the playgrounds. But it's like we always say, we can have the most secure campuses, but if our teachers and staff do not know how to respond to different situations, then those physical security measures mean nothing, which is why constant training is important. So I'm going to attempt to show you a very brief video of one of the security tests that we conducted.
About grass a lot, but I have gotten several questions about why that grass is not finished, and I'm like, I promise we're not gonna leave it like that. I don't know what we're gonna do, but it's not gonna stay like that.
The contract did exactly what they stopped. So we'll fill it in.
Could I ask what the delay in the OSF
that would
date
be
was?
Wayne or Jimmy question.
I thought that was supposed to be like a month ago. There was an elevator issue.
Well, there was an elevator issue. You're absolutely right. At one point about a month ago, when they were going to take and actually have the OSF inspection, but we were at the mercy of OSF, their calendar, and the window that we just had was the first one from that point that you're talking about, which was about a month prior to that.
So it wasn't a delinquent issue on our part.
No,
it was their calendar schedule.
That's right. That's right. And
that makes me feel better that we didn't create an issue or an issue was on our end.
No. And then we have another window that's coming up on the 28th. I think it's 28th, it might be 29th, but I think it's 28th. And that should iron that out.
Any other questions, comments? Moving to the third agenda item is the educational specifications and land acquisition protocols. Dr. Tony Parker, you are recognized.
Board members, Dr. England, it's taken us quite a while to get to this point. What we have for you tonight are ed specifications, and these documents are living, breathing documents that they're going to change as time goes on, as we look at innovations in construction and materials. These items will change. But at this time, Wayne, if you and David would pass these out, please. And I do apologize that you didn't have your documents beforehand, but we have been working diligently on these, and we wanted you to have the drafts tonight to be able to review, look at them over the next couple of weeks, and certainly have the opportunity to truly understand the amount of work that's going into this. All the supervisors in the maintenance department have gone through and worked with Wayne, David, and James, and Jimmy on creating this document. And I would say to you tonight, this is probably the most comprehensive ed specification document that you'll probably find in any school district. The critical aspect of this document is the use and the future opportunities that we will have in Berkeley County in developing prototype models. Whether it be at elementary, middle, or high school, these prototype models, I guarantee you, will save the district quite a bit of money, certainly save the district quite a bit of time. When you select architects and you provide them with these education specifications, it will give them the direction and certainly the understanding of what goes into the prototype model. And I think it will lead the school district down a road that you certainly have needed to go down for quite some time. And I'm just going to go through an abbreviated document and you can be there.
Reverend Speen is not here, but the first page I flipped open was elementary school shall be designed to be one story only. And if Reverend Speen was here, he would say bravo for the first page that I looked at. So tell some of our input is already in the specifications.
Well, elementary schools, there are some really critical aspects. There's some real critical aspects to the individual schools, but at elementary, with the age group that you're dealing with, the K-5, pre-K-5, second stories, you don't deal well with second stories. Middle schools, high schools, the second stories are fine. The real key for us Kim and I did load this today. You tried. And I will go over an abbreviated report. I was told by Diane Driggers that I needed to keep this very brief, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, Diane.
She gave me some good
advice, and I'm going to try to do that. She's always given me that kind of advice. Summary information here, and you can certainly read it yourself. I'm not going to read it for you, but we have taken the basic components of each one of the schools. We recommended to the board that design for elementary schools would be between 700 and 1,000 students, pre-K through 5th grade, 90,000 to 110,000 square feet, anywhere from 25 to 30 acres, and we're going to talk about land acquisition in just a minute. And the components of the building you can see here. However, this needs to be in more detail, and when you go through the design phase, you got to have more people involved. You're going to have your curriculum instruction people involved. You got to have your child nutrition folks involved, and in the design phase. Now, we can lay out the basics that we know need to be in there, but then you got to include other folks in there. And one of the things that the board has talked about is 21st century schools, 21st century education. That's going to be a critical component to this. Even at the bottom, miscellaneous, other areas, you're looking at playground areas, kindergarten playground, and all the other items that should be included. In the land, you got to make absolutely sure you got sufficient stacking as far as parents coming into the school. And if you don't have adequate land, you can't have the kind of stacking that you need with an elementary school or our other schools. The middle school and the capacity that we had recommended to you was approximately 1,200 students for a middle school. That's grades 6. Well, actually, it's grades 6 through 8. We got some corrections to make to our document. Apologize for that. But you got 110,000 to 130,000 square feet, depending on the capacity that you make the school. You got between 35 and 50 acres as far as the land needed for this school and all the other features there. And again, you got basic information there as far as the kind of classroom space that you're going to need. That needs to be more specific, based on the needs of curriculum, based on the needs of our 21st century schools. Miscellaneous, others, PE softball field, PE baseball field, and all the other items that you would include in a middle school. High school, much more detailed. Capacity there, we are talking about around 1,800 students. If it goes below 1,800 students, then your square footage is going to be impacted. We're recommending between 200,000 and 350,000 square feet, and site requirements between 75 and 100 acres of land. We have two high schools that have the problem of being landlocked, and we don't have enough space there to really do the things that we need to do. And as we move down the road, we want to take care of those problems. We want to address those in our planning stages and make sure that we don't have that kind of problem in the future. You got the miscellaneous areas in there again, and all the other items there. And this is just a summary to give you an idea of what's included in the detailed document. But again, when you look at the design phase, that's a cooperative effort with the district, the architect, the contractor, everybody coming together as we look at the proper design for our specific types of schools. Now, again, you can need to look through the document to truly appreciate the detail that we put into this. And again, this is going to be an ever-changing document. And let me here say that we want to give you an update on this document on an ongoing basis. And Wayne, how about coming up here if you don't mind? He's shy. We want to make certain that as we look at innovations and as we work through design in looking at the future of our prototype models, that we correct some of the things that we've got. If we need to delete on our ed specs, if we need to add items to it based on new innovations in construction, then we will do that with specific code. I think we will put it in either red if we're pulling it out, put it in blue if we're adding it in. And that'll be in your ed docs. Diane, we can get that in our board docs. Thank you, Diane. I'll keep it brief. It's important that this, like your facility planning, is an ongoing document. And that's critical. It's critical to the future of the district, and it's critical for you to make the right decisions with facilities. And I'm going to say this today, we promised you a quarterly update on our documents as far as our master facility plan. We're going to go back on that, and we're going to tell you tonight that we want to do that twice a year rather than 4 times a year. What we found is that 4 times a year is putting too much taxing on our folks, and there's not as much change 4 times a year as you will see twice a year. So we want to give it to you in December and give it to you again in June. December in preparing for the budget, June after you've had the budget process, and you can look at it twice a year. With ed specs, we're going to do the same thing. You'll have the ed specs updated twice a year, or if need be, more often than that. Land acquisition, and this has been a critical piece, I think, for the board.
Is this something we're going to post on the website?
Yes.
In the draft? This is great. There's some good work.
I'm sorry.
Is there a point in time when you're going to post
We're going
this?
to bring it back to the board at the second meeting this month
For
approval, and that then for the board to post it
after the order. Okay.
for the public's viewing. What we have looked at is we looked at South Carolina OSF in identifying how we can address land acquisition. And the document you have here, we're going to bring back for approval also at our next meeting. And with this document, what we're looking at, that's a comparative document. Let me go back to my other one to begin with, land acquisition here. Land acquisition document here that you see. As we identify the need to purchase land for building schools, we'll go through and address the feasibility of purchasing individual pieces of land. Topography, size and shape of the land, accessibility, public services, what public services are available there, utilities, and utilities is a big one, folks. Not as big of an issue here, but in a former superintendency that I had, we didn't have water and sewer all over the county. So the school district basically purchased water and sewer for the entire county based on the building of schools in various areas within the county. That is a critical piece. Do you have water and sewer available? Do you have utilities available? Those are things that we need to address before we accept gifts of land or before we purchase land. The cost of the land, and that becomes critical as well. The availability, is it on the market? Are there multiple owners of the parcel of land that we need to purchase? If you're looking at a high school, you got 100 acres. Do you have 5 people that own parcels of land? Coordinating all of that's absolutely critical. And then comments here. This document would be submitted to the superintendent and addressed from that standpoint. And if there are multiple areas of land, then we would do a comparative analysis of the land. Candidate sites would be listed, and this is a rating scale. Safety of the site, location, the environment, the soil, and Fox Bank brings that to mind. Identifying, doing our borings to identify the acceptability of the site, topography, size and shape, accessibility, public services, utilities, cost, availability, and public acceptance. You would have each site listed up here. We would do an objective rating of the site, again, present this information to the superintendent, who would in turn present it to the board and address the possibility of purchasing the site. Having some kind of land protocol, and this is basically taken out of OSF site selection. But there was not an evaluative document there, Mr. Chairman, so we developed the evaluative document in order to have some way to assess the value of the land to the school district. And these 2 documents will be used here in the district. There will be another document that we're going to be providing to you that will basically spell out who is responsible for doing certain things within the land acquisition, whether it's attorneys, whether it's the architect, whether it's the engineers, whoever's responsible for those items in bringing them to fruition, bringing it back to the Board of Education. Again, this is provided for information to you. Wayne, did I leave anything out? I've got to give credit to the maintenance department, Jimmy Henson, and their work in putting all this together. And again, I'll emphasize to you, the education specifications that you have right there are as thorough and as well developed as any I've seen in any school district, certainly in this state or any other state. And it will give direction to an architect of what we want to see in the building, rather than the architect telling us what they want to develop for us. And I think that's imperative. You're changing the paradigm. And that's what we need to do. Any questions that you have?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving to the fourth agenda item, Dr. Stephen Seal, you are recognized.
Good evening, everyone. As I looked at the agenda when I first came in the door tonight, I came to the realization that you saved the best for last for obvious reason. I appreciate you all greatly. I realize it's going to be this long of an evening, but again, save the best act for last. So tonight I come to you tonight for something special. Two gentlemen I think most board members know to some degree or not. The first is we're asking to name the press box, the Jim Rozier press box at Berkeley High School. The reason why we're doing this is, as everybody knows, as Mr. Rozier passed along, he started broadcasting games at Berkeley High School in 1990. PA announcement, which people don't know is he did that as county supervisor. He did it as a Lord Berkeley Land Trust. He would not leave for Clemson football games. He would fly out early Saturday mornings, drive out early Saturday mornings. He never missed a game. This past year is the first time that I can think of memory that he's missed any games, obviously because of his sickness and all. And he was a pillar not only of Moncks Corner, not only the county of Berkeley County, but the state of South Carolina. When people think about coming to a Berkeley High School game, they think about him, his witty sayings, we had no idea what he was trying to say. You know, that everybody just stand up and cheer.
You don't love that, you're not romantic. That was my favorite one. So.
Yes, but you have to turn the phrase, man. So, what we're ideally going to do is taking the press box and they're wrapping it in a new design representing all athletes at Berkeley High School that use the stadium, and had one part of it having a Mr. Jim Rozier press box. We'd like to unveil that in the fall time, the first home game. To the family and all will be able to fly in and all that good fun stuff. So Berkeley High School would ask the board to please consider this.
I move to name the press box at Berkeley High School the Jim Rozier press box.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Rozier was a good man. He really was.
If you've ever been on the river with him, you know how good of a man he was, because he'd tell you how many fish he caught in that one spot, and you never caught one yourself.
And his Clemson decked out pontoon boat.
Exactly.
The next agenda item is the recommendation for naming of the tennis complex at Berkeley High School.
Yes, sir. Berkeley High School's tennis has enjoyed a great resurgence over the past decade, and for one person alone who volunteers out there, Mr. Joe Harnage. Mr. Harnage was working a full-time job as an executive down the road, and he would actually take off time from work to be able to come there to the school, bring volunteers, use money out of his own pocket, his own time, away from his own family. He's still doing it now. He's still our head girls tennis coach, and he does a wonderful job for all of them. He's also instrumental in helping to bring about the culture change with the tennis program to where now we're competing with state championships pretty much regularly now, whether 3A, 4A, or 5A level. The young ladies that he's helped bring about change their lives. The young men he also helps to mentor also has a great job. And we feel this would be, given the new complex, person who's probably getting more blood, sweat, and tears to that complex would be him. And we would like to name it in Mr. Joe Harnage's tennis court in honor of him and all the volunteer hours he put in also.
We have a motion.
I'd like to make the motion to name the new tennis complex at Berkeley High School the Joe Harnage Tennis Complex.
We We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Berkeley High School, our alumni, and everybody else, thanks the board very much for allowing us to honor these gentlemen. Thank you.
This time I entertain a motion to adjourn so that we can return to the regular board meeting. So moved. You second? Second, yeah. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
We'll now entertain a motion to return to the full board meeting. So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey to return to the full board meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We're in a full board meeting. We'll now move on to agenda item 9 for the full board meeting. The next item on the agenda is the report from the Committee on Finance and Human Resources, Chairman Michael Ramsey.
Madam Chairwoman, the Committee on Finance and Human Resources met earlier this evening. On recommendation of the committee, I move to approve BBB 533-18-19 independent delivery contract for painting services to be awarded to B&R Painting, Inc. for Mount Holly Elementary School exterior painting, Hanahan Middle School interior painting, College Park Middle School interior painting, and subsequent projects awarded to JW Painting and Repairs, LLC, Town and Country Painting, and Myers Crossing.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve RFQ 544-18-19 indefinite delivery contract for roofing and building envelope consultants to ADC Engineering, Inc. and WM Building Envelope Consultants, LLC.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairwoman, that concludes my report.
I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn the full meeting.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Wright. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Praise the Lord, we're adjourned.